Sweet. Welcome back to another episode of the Tripping Off podcast. You know, we're over 100 episodes deep. I think this is like 106, 107 or something like that. It's wild. It's wild. I was talking with somebody who wanted to come on the podcast, and they will in a couple weeks. And they'd like just start off their podcast. They're a hypnotherapist here in Central Florida. Yeah. And so we're going to have her on. She does some of the more like rapid transformational therapy kind of stuff, like some of that like rebranding, repackaging of hypnosis. She's not a clinician, just hypnotherapy for like empowerment and coaching and stuff. And so I'm excited to have her on.
Yeah, me too.
To talk about that. But in the process of talking about some of that hypnosis stuff, I was reminded this morning by a very silly Instagram video that I sent you from the potty this morning. And it was a very silly one. It said, you know, Christian rap has really changed over the years. And it was this rap video of a Christian rap artist who the whole song was about don't jerk off. And he was like, it was like the really aggressive style of like rap too, like a little screamy in there. And it was like, don't jerk off. And I was like, that is a lot of intensity, a lot of emotional intensity for something that you don't want to do. And it reminded me of the thing that most of my clients come into the office frustrated about. They're like,
if not all.
Yeah, I was going to say.
In some way.
It's in some way, it's present in every client I think that I talk to. And that is so much emotional and mental energy focused on what not to do. And I would say probably the simplest, most direct, like most helpful thing that I teach my hypnotherapists is focus on what you want, not on what you don't want. Because the principle of hypnotherapy in the subconscious is if you focus on the thing you don't want, you're going to end up doing it.
Yes.
You have to focus on what you want.
Well, the unconscious mind doesn't understand negatives.
No.
It doesn't understand not something. And that's what I mean by negative is like, it don't do this. All it hears is whatever this is.
Yes.
And you're programming your mind when you say, don't do this, you're programming your mind to do this.
Yes. That's why substance use is so difficult to work with, because all is don't drink, right, as an example. And I think it is omnipresent in child rearing.
Absolutely.
If you tell the child to focus on what you want them not to do, my 2-year-old's immediate response is to do the thing I told him not to do. And I think a lot of parents can see that as disobedience or defiance, but it's just, he's operating with only part of a full brain.
I mean, even
at 2?
That's giving it a lot of credit there. Like his brain is not even fully developed unconsciously.
Yeah, no, not even. And so, how much more important for us as adults. I was just thinking about how much emotional energy is there to don't jerk off. And like, there's so many things that we could go into that, right? But I think the one we'll focus on today is just this use of negatives. And I think even with social media, it's very common because what gets people to watch videos is negatives, right? Like classic news thing, if it bleeds, it leads, right? What's the most negative? Because our brains are wired to focus on that. So even more so in a therapeutic setting, if I'm training my brain to focus on the thing I don't want, well, I'm going to make very limited, if any, and very slow progress.
Yeah. I mean, I didn't even think about this until you were just saying that as far as parents. My mom was just telling my son about how ornery and how disobedient I was when I was his age as contrast to him. And I
wonder why.
Of course. It was like, don't do that, 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 don't do that. And to give them credit, there's a lot of this is what you can do. But yeah, of course I was ornery. I wanted to explore everything. And so my son now gets a redirection to more things that he can explore that are more interesting to him, that are going to demand his attention, and he's going to be so interested in whatever that thing is, instead of me saying, don't do this.
Yeah. I was recognizing that with Oliver. He doesn't say no a lot. Like we're entering into that phase. He's just about to turn 3 where he's figured out no's. and like how exciting that is and how empowering that is. And so be like, it's time to go take a bath. And he'd be like, no. And I'm like, this is interesting. But he doesn't do it a lot. And so I was telling my wife, I was like, I think we're entering into the no age. Like his brain is developed, and that's an important phase of development. But the point I'm trying to make is he doesn't use it a lot because his mom and I, my wife and I, don't use no a lot.
Right.
We use focus shifting to get him to focus on the thing he needs to do. And so I almost didn't recognize he was in his no phase because he doesn't say it that much, because we model that as parents. It's not about what not to do. It's about what we're trying to do.
Yeah. And even if it's something that it is something that he needs not to do.
Yes.
The redirect can be a positive by an explanation of how I don't think that you really want to do that.
Yep.
Hey man, you know when you fell down and busted your knee open? You walk into the street without holding my hand, and that's even worse if a car hits you.
Mm-hmm.
Don't say it like that. I'm saying that for the audience.
That's still the negative, yeah.
Yeah. But be like, hey, like, let me protect you when you cross the road.
Yeah. And I think we have to remember that each of us in our subconscious has that same toddler brain.
Yeah.
And so it can be so depressing to think about all the things you don't want to do. Just like if I was to always be talking with my son about what I don't want him to do, it would really sabotage that relationship. And I think we sabotage our relationships with ourselves.
Well, and even think about this. Like, what happens if during this podcast, every time you wanted to make a point, I just interrupted you and said, don't jerk off? Everybody watching this, your takeaway, probably that too,
because it'd be annoying.
Yeah, it would be annoying,
right?
And that's how our brains work. Is It's like if every time I turn around, I'm like, don't jerk off, don't jerk off, don't jerk off, don't jerk off. It's like, one, you're not going to get anything from this. Two, you're going to be like, I don't even want to listen to this anymore. There's just a podcast about not jerking off. We missed the point.
Yeah. And even more than that, when you focus on the no, life is so nuanced. And so when you focus on the no, you end up negating some very important things, right? Like jerking off. If you're not paying attention to your other responsibilities, you need to readjust your priorities. But there's nothing wrong with pleasing yourself and enjoying life. That's kind of the point.
And that's the message that goes to the unconscious mind, isn't it?
Don't please yourself.
No pleasure for you.
Well, what kind of life do I want to live? That's depressing. I don't want to wake up tomorrow now because all I'm focused on is don't enjoy things. And so you end up throwing out so much because you're focused on the no. When you focus on the yes, like what you want, it allows for nuance.
Right. So somebody's going to argue and be like, well, that's a bad thing, and to each their own. That can be a moral thing for you if it is.
Yeah.
But with that said, if you're giving them the message to the unconscious, no pleasure for you, instead of how do I find pleasure for myself? How do I give myself pleasure? Let's go get that.
Yes.
In whatever is morally correct for you.
Mm-hmm.
So I want to encourage anybody that's listening to this and is just like, oh well, my religion says that I can't jerk off. Like, it's still besides the point.
Yeah, I'm fine with that. That's not my issue.
Yeah, it's the messaging that we give to ourselves, and then the waves of repercussion that come out of that huge rock being thrown into the water.
It's the wrong phrasing.
Yeah.
And so that's so important to pay attention to. I think practically for my clients and for maybe some more advanced level stuff, what it can look like is back to this conversation about archetypes.
Yeah.
A lot of times I had a beautiful conversation with an individual last week who was parentified at a very early age and is always in the caretaker role for individuals that they should not be the caretaker for. They're the youngest in the family, and parents and older siblings are always looking to them for care, but at the same time they're treating them like a caretaker for all the good things, but treating them like the baby for all the things they don't want to do. So
you're talking about Thea? No,
actually. But I mean, I'm saying it because I think a lot of us can relate.
Absolutely.
What should I do? What should I do? And then you tell them what to do. Like, here's the science of what you should do, and then they don't do it.
Yeah.
It's like they're putting you in a difficult position where I want you to care for me like a parent, but I'm going to treat you with the respect of a baby.
Yeah.
And you can't win. And so my client was very frustrated because they can't win. And so instead of coming up with different things, right, and making the mistake as therapists do of giving this client more resources to argue with the family better, that's just the wrong point of the whole thing.
Yeah.
Instead, I was like, what is the character you want to be? And this individual struggled a lot. I was like, do you have like a movie or a TV show or a book with a hero that you really like or a character that you're really drawn to? It was a blank. They couldn't think of anybody except like caretakers. And so
I think Deadpool would be great for them.
Yeah, Deadpool would be great. We settled on Cinderella.
Nice.
It's like, they are servant and slave to these individuals, and who are showing no kind of emotional maturity and personal responsibility and pushing all that responsibility on the client. So I was like, you're Cinderella. I was like, what does Cinderella do? Does she save the stepmother and the stepsisters? No, she gets the hell out of there.
Yeah.
I was like, you can't be this character and achieve the goals that you've set for yourself. In order to achieve the goals that you want, you need to play a different character. You need to be Cinderella. So we dived deep, and it was this whole rejection against this victim mentality. And, when we kind of had that light bulb go off, their struggle to see themselves as the victim comes from so many places in their life where they are underprivileged. This person was a member of the LGBTQ community, which is an oppressed community. They were of a different ethnic origin than what is popular in the current political climate, repressed community, female, repressed community. And so there were so many things that they have pushed against, like, I can't be the victim. I can't be the victim. It's like, but you push so hard against not being the victim that then when you are the victim, you still stay there. Because you can't see what it actually is and the character that they're actually treating you like.
So I'd love to see some imagery of like Cinderella running out to the pumpkin and like trying to get back in time, and then it's like as the magic is wearing off, she just like turns into Deadpool and is like, fuck it.
That'd be cool. Yeah. Torch the whole place. Yeah.
And I mean, you can't kill Deadpool. You can rip him in half, and he still just like puts himself back together.
Deadpool's a good one.
Yeah.
I think the part that this person resonated with was help. I was like, does Cinderella get out of there on her own?
Yeah.
No. I was like, the birds help, the mice help, fairy godmother helps. And I think deep down, I just wanted to be seen as the fairy godmother.
Yeah.
And so that
yeah.
just want to make sure that they understood my archetype in this.
You'd make a good fairy godmother.
I think I would make a great fairy godmother. I think so.
But that's, I mean, I love Cinderella for that. It's if we look at it from a direct metaphor, what you have in this case, and that applying to the client is, for everybody else, it's not a man or a bird or a fairy godmother. Those are all archetypes within her that need to also work together and come together. It's maybe some more masculine energy in saying no. Maybe some more masculine energy in saying, I'm going to protect my bride. Fairy godmother, that's the mother magician, the feminine magician, is like, what else creates the something that is new other than the magical feminine. And then all of her natural resources that she can call on to help fly in and make everything happen.
And I think that's the feedback. That's the feedback I get from like my interns as well. That it can be difficult to understand when we dive into archetypes. Even some previous students were like, the archetypes thing, I really appreciated it. I learned a lot, but I don't think I quite knew how to use it. And so what I'm trying to explain here is the archetypes are really helpful for this topic.
Yeah.
When somebody doesn't know how to say yes or to move closer to what they want, envisioning a character is a helpful way to embody that nuance of what do I want in my life rather than focusing on what is broken.
Yeah.
And I think that's why a lot of people struggle with hypnotherapy and why hypnotherapy is so effective, because it doesn't focus on what not to do. It focuses on what to do and gives them an experience of what to do. And once you have that experience and you feel what it's like,
Absolutely.
it's great.
You feel that the entire scene playing out. I can just imagine that entire scene playing out in her head of just like getting out of the palace, magic of wearing off, and then still being accepted.
Yeah.
I love that. And I think that the yes and no, we were just talking about that earlier, is how do we know when our body's saying yes and no? Do another podcast on that later.
Yeah. Yeah.
But I think the point here though is we can focus so much on what is not supposed to be, and we just forget all of the things that we want, that are authentic to us, the power that we have, all of that it's magic.
Yeah.
Saying I need to not do this thing versus saying what I really want is intimacy and connection. I'm dying for intimacy and connection because my entire life I've been told what not to do, or else I'll be rejected. I'll be rejected. I'll be rejected. I can't be rejected.
Don't jerk off.
Don't jerk off. We're right back to that. I'll be
Yeah.
rejected.
Yeah.
Instead of, how is that deep, loving intimacy with self and all of my parts playing out today?
And that's the danger of it too, where if we get trapped inside of one character and we're not thinking about who we want to be, we then end up using our nose in the character that we're in, right? So that was complicated.
Yeah.
But what I'm trying to say is, if you are the victim and you say no, usually bad things happen to victims who say no.
Mm-hmm.
And so we lose our no. And a lot of the cases that we work with are trauma, because that's what we focus on. And so many of our clients are coming to us as the character of the victim, and they can't say no because if I say no, I get hurt more.
Yeah.
Because compliance is the only thing that is appreciated.
And then I'm looking at all of life through that lens.
Yep. So I can't say no. But if you think about other characters, right? Like a parent, for example, a loving parent, right? My son may want to do something and I tell him no, not because I don't want him to have fun, but because the way that he's trying to do it is the way that a 2-year-old would do it. There's a much more enjoyable way to do it. And so I don't even focus on the no. I'm like, yes, I reframe, let's play together. Because that's what he's actually asking. Let me show you this thing. Here's a way that we can do that play in a way that actually works. And so we're focusing on the yes, which creates intimacy.
Let's give a good example. Cooking. I had this
great.
as an example from when Addie was about Ollie's age.
Mm-hmm.
And we're like cooking. I put him on the counter. He has a little bit of access to the drawers. And I look away for a second, and he had opened up the knife drawer.
Classic.
Right.
Yes.
That's great.
Yeah.
I do not want my 3 or 4-year-old to be playing with very, very sharp knives. So as soon as but the point is he wasn't trying to play with knives. He was trying to model and do the same things I was doing.
Correct.
And so
yes,
then the redirect goes to, hey, bud, like, yeah, let's do this. And I actually got I was cutting up some vegetables. He saw me take the knife out. He saw me get the plate out, the cutting board out, and I was cutting the vegetables. I look away, the knife drawer is open again. All he wanted to do was to help.
Yep.
All he wanted to do is cook with me.
He's like, oh, daddy's doing that. Let me do it too.
Yeah. He doesn't know anything else.
No.
And so what I did was there just so happened to be a stick of butter.
Cool.
And I got him a butter knife.
Cool.
And I was like, hey, bud, can you chop this up? I don't care
Oh, he
about
was probably floored.
He was so excited,
Oh,
and
it's so cute.
he was trying to cut the butter just like I was cutting the peppers, and he was doing it so badly
Love it.
that it was very difficult to measure the butter that I needed to use, but we did, and then I was so thankful. I had him put it in the pan when I was going to saute the peppers, and he did, and I was like, I put my stuff, or you put your stuff in there first, and then I'll put my stuff in there.
Oh man.
And it was a moment of connection rather than a moment of disconnection where I could have gone, no, knives are dangerous. Don't play with knives. That's not what we need to be doing.
Yeah.
I don't care. I do care, but I don't care about the fact that it's a knife. I care about connecting with my son.
Yes. Focus on what the goal is.
That's why so many clients come in and tell us things like, I have no purpose in my life. I don't know what my purpose is. Yeah. Because you've hit a wall of no, 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 no.
And you lose the path. All I have is a wall of no's, but I haven't focused on what my path is.
Of course you feel like you're in a locked room.
Yeah. So let me ask you this. What are some helpful tips that you tell clients when they're struggling with this kind of idea? Like when you're trying to switch their mindset to yeses, do you focus on becoming aware of the no's? Are there certain things that you tell them? It's like, hey, reprocessing your no's as yeses can be really effective if you think about it in this way. Like what advice do you give?
Connection. It always comes down to connection in that world for me. I say, if there was a part of you that saw this no being a form of connection, how would it want to connect? Whether it's another part of you, another person, some trauma, something. What is the positive intention about connection?
Yeah.
I think that everything else can kind of build out of that. So if
I like
the briefest of examples, I think it would be that.
That's very practical too. That's very practical. I think the first thing I do with clients is often sort of destigmatizing the no's and the bads. I think oftentimes when we say no, there comes with it a moral judgment of that is bad.
That's great.
Back to jerking off. There's nothing wrong with jerking off. There can be if you are not living up to your responsibilities because you're spending all day jerking off. That's a problem. But the problem is not the jerking off.
No.
So when you say don't jerk off, you're missing the actual important piece, which is say yes to the responsibilities that you've chosen for your life.
Yeah.
There can be this moral judgment against the thing I'm trying to move away from. Alcohol, toxic relationships, codependence, jerking off, whatever it is. Translating that into let's get specific about what actually is important to you.
Yeah.
Connection, right? And I think, you could probably boil down what's important is it always kind of comes back to connection. But one of those intermediate steps that I find myself giving as advice is let's take away the judgment and let's just focus on what it is that you want, which reintroduces the nuance, right? It's not all good, all bad. Usually when we find ourselves in those black and white thinking moments, it's a sign of trauma.
One of my buddies just recently said he was just like doing this no thing and judgment thing with his nicotine and his alcohol consumption.
Mm-hmm.
And what I was my first response to him, because he was so judgmental with himself.
Yeah,
he's a therapist. He's a great therapist too. But this is why we have to have that outside opinion and that outside connection, because he totally missed it. He was just like, I need to stop. And I need to stop. And I was like, hey man, next time we see each other, I want to get drunk as fuck with you.
Yeah.
And the trance of no, just kind of like broke, and he was just like,
oh,
thanks, Zach.
Yeah.
Thanks, man.
There it is.
I appreciate you.
That's great.
I was just like, I want to get drunk as fuck. And he was like, I don't really enjoy alcohol that much. And he knew that. And so when I was just like, let's go party, he was just like, okay.
That's so great.
Yeah.
I'm just kind of sitting in that. Turn your no's into yeses. Well, let me know what you think. What no's are you so focused on in your life that it's become difficult to say yes. I'd love to like start this conversation and like continue to discuss this week. I think I'll end up making a lot of videos about this on my own personal social media too, because it's been a topic that has come up for me. Just this week is usually a topic of the week for me, and this has been it. And I think translating it to dream stuff is so many people that find their way to my community do not want to have nightmares. So if you're focused on don't have nightmares, don't have
Perfect
nightmares,
example.
what are you going to have? And so the easiest, and you know, people pay me a lot of money to say this to them, and I feel a little silly because it's so simple, is, well, don't focus on the nightmare. Nightmares are good for you. Let them happen. If you want to think about something, focus on all the things that you're appreciative of for that day, or the vision of your future that you want as you fall asleep. I promise you that your dreams will improve.
100%.
You know, and I think they're all looking for that guarantee. Well, can you guarantee that I don't have a nightmare? Well, see, there we're back to don't.
Yep.
I can guarantee that they will improve
Yeah.
if you focus on the yes.
Absolutely.
But there can't be any focus on this negative piece. And so there's nuance to that too. So let's start the conversation in the comments down below. Thank you for tuning into this episode. Like, subscribe, please share with a friend. We're trying to grow the episode. And if there's somebody that you want us to interview or to talk with on,
I love that,
on the podcast, please send us a message, like leave it in the comments, whatever. One of the pieces of feedback we got from our editor was having more guests on the show helps. And then having you all at eye level was the other thing. So if you've noticed, the camera angles have adjusted. That was from the very talented Nix, who does all of our editing. So shout out to Nix. Until next time, we'll see y'all later. Bye.